What's going on, guys? This is Empty Box, and this is rFactor 2 with the Spec Miata mod by Pink Badger. I'll put a link down in the description so you could go ahead and try it out yourself, which I would highly recommend doing because this car has become some sort of virtual drug or something. It's a blast. Seriously. I spent probably 5-6 hours over the last 3 days just driving this mod because it is fun and it fits a lot of different tracks within rFactor 2. So we got a 10-lap race here against the AI set to 102% strength, 30% aggression, which I find works pretty dang well in this mod and provides an interesting, exciting race. Although, of course, here on the first lap, I'll kind of go slow, but we'll probably end up getting past later on in the race. So we gotta make do with what we have right now. This mod was created according to the author of the mod, so he could practice his Spec Miata-ing while he's not able to drive his Spec Miata on the track. Pretty good reason. Spec Miata, of course, is one of the most popular, if not the most popular, entry-level class. So, these cars are fairly well known. Not exactly a Formula 1 car, for example, where nobody has actual real data available at their fingertips. For the most part. But it is a very, very fun car to drive. That is the standout of this mod. The driving physics are a blast, and it's a very good car to actually learn how to drive. Which, given that this is a low-powered car, placed at the entry level, it shouldn't be a surprise that it's fairly easy to drive. That's not to say it's boring to drive, though, because if you do overcook the corner a little bit, you'll know it, and then you're greeted with some very nice... I can't turn the steering wheel because if I do, I spin out, and if I hit the throttle a little bit to settle the rear, I just go way off the track. So you still got that fine line to balance. And, yeah, it's just fun. Very fun car to drive. This is a very fun track with this car. But overall, this car is really a car that rFactor 2 could really use. You know, right now that there are a lot of smaller circuits that don't necessarily suit a lot of the cars that are, you know, air quotes here, sexy, you know? A lot of the circuits out there for rFactor 2 in really good quality don't suit, you know, F1 cars that everybody likes to create mods for because it's F1. So, you know, we got to attempt to create every single season of F1 in the history of forever right this instant because it's Formula 1. Oh my God. But, you know, you think about a place like Moore's, for example. Chasing the rear end there. Love it. Or, you know, Putnam Park. Croft, which Croft could be argued that it can suit larger cars, but I think it's best enjoyed in cars of this caliber. You know, Simmons Plains, fantastic circuit, one of the best for rFactor 2, honestly, but it's a simple layout, fairly short circuit, so I haven't raced on it for a very long while because there's nothing I actually really want to race on it. But this definitely changes that. I would much rather drive this than a freaking Clio. That is for sure, which... that comes down to two factors. For one, the Clio is the Clio. It's a small little front-wheel drive car. The MX5, the Miata, it's a small little rear-wheel drive car. Okay, they both fit into kind of a similar type of level, but at the same time, here in the U.S., there is no such thing as a Renault Clio. It doesn't exist. Okay, it doesn't matter. Whereas an MX5 Spec Miata, it's something attainable, which automatically makes it much more interesting to me, because it is something that, you know, potentially I could see myself actually racing, which isn't that half the fun, right? And physics-wise, this mod was created so a guy could practice his Spec Miata while he couldn't race it. You know, I'm led to believe it's pretty dang accurate. There's really nothing here that made me go, what the deuce happened there? Like, everything has the output from the input that you expect. And there's no area where it just goes on you and you just have no clue. You know, it is a small little rear-wheel drive car. And it's not, you know, a full size, for lack of a better term, although describe full size. It's not, you know, a full-size race car with wings and slicks and everything like that. It is gonna, you know, have some behaviors to it, you know. It can get a little bit loose going into the corner, but you just gotta learn how to manage that, and it's really fairly easy to manage it. And the AI is crazy, I tell you what. It's a very exciting, engaging car to drive, which on a track like this is a fantastic learning and refresher experience, as well as a whole heck of a lot of fun. I mean, really, it's just fun. Simple as that. You know, I'd really like to see, you know, massive online lobbies with this thing. You just get like 60 cars out there. Although you'd have to have 60 drivers in rFactor 2 that actually can drive and make it past the first corner, but you know, just a bunch of these cars is, there you go. Have fun. I mean, there are very few tracks that don't suit this car within rFactor 2 that are actually done in quality, which, you know, personally, I think tracks are one of the biggest things, you know, within a sim. You know, it really comes down to three things, if you ask me: the physics, the cockpit graphics, which have to be functional, they have to be good, they have to be immersive. Talk about that in a little bit. But then the track. It's like you can't just have one of those. You gotta have at least two. And here we have at least two. You know, it suits the track, the racing suits the track, the AI works well, it suits the cars, and it creates a fantastic, fun experience. Got that corner a little bit hot. Now I have to mention what I'm going to mention, what you guys know I'm going to mention. The one downside with this mod, it isn't even the external graphics. The car model is pretty good. It works. It's not the best, but it gets the job done, and it doesn't make me go crazy while driving. But the cockpit. If there was any weak point about this mod, it comes down to the cockpit, which, you know, some people will say, oh, well, you shouldn't be looking at, you know, the cockpit, you should be looking down the road and everything. Well, at least to me, you know, the cockpit really helps create that immersion, that you can see that suspension of disbelief or whatever it is. You know, makes you feel more in the game world, more in the car, more in the sim, which makes it a little bit easier to focus, and just makes for an overall better experience. Now, I brought this up in the forum thread, and the guy's like, yeah, no, not gonna happen, but he did also say that if someone was willing to try to update it, that might be a possibility. So hey, if you happen to be wanting to create an MX5 cockpit for rFactor 2, you should probably get in contact with Pink Badger, because he's got the physics pretty well covered. sounds really not that bad. You know, it sounds enough like a Spec Miata for me not to go crazy. It's got that raspy 4-cylinder being squeezed for its life. I think that is the lead pack up there. There are two versions of car that are available. Both of them drive the exact same, which, as I get to this corner, I'll show you what I'm talking about. There's a hard top, and there's also a convertible, which I'll let you guys go ahead and guess which one I'm driving right now. And your answer is Pink convertible MX5, most manliest car in the history of manly automobiles. Yeah, you know it. Oh, and because someone will ask, no pop-up headlights, which I'm pretty sure is a rFactor 2 limitation at this point, but doesn't really matter. MX5, Spec Miata, night racing, not really a huge deal. You know, we're not talking about an endurance race car at this point. I just love the sound that you get when you blip on downshift. Very nice car though. If you're looking to, you know, really start to improve your driving, let's say you just started out, this car track combination here in rFactor 2, I would have to rate as one of the best. Because, you know, you do have these corners that are, you know, fairly high speed relative to this car. I mean, yeah, if you're driving something like an F1 car, no, it's not a high-speed corner. You know, you're doing 80 miles an hour. But here in an MX5, it's fairly rapid. But it, you know, those types of corners really helps you to understand trail braking a little bit better and how that's going to affect the car, because these cars are so little. And the weight transfer is a major thing. Is a defining feature. Yeah, and because the car is so small, it doesn't have that built-in stability. You know, a larger car is going to be more stable, but at the downside, it's not going to be as nimble. You know, you think about a limousine, for example. You know, it's not going to turn ever. But most race cars aren't limousines. Just a little bit on the grass there. Kind of a little disappointed we didn't get some clouds. You know, then again, I am driving the convertible MX5, so that way I can get some more sun on my virtual helmet, you know. More fun in the sun if you're driving an MX5, I guess. How many laps do we got here? Not that many. We got a gaggle of cars. That wasn't the best corner, but it will work because they slowed down. That's going to put us on the outside going to the next left-hander. So much fun. So much fun. This is really a car that, I mean, like I mentioned, rFactor 2 really needs it because it fits in to the current car offering the current car lineup within rFactor 2, the tracks that are out there, as well as the fact that really the AI works spectacularly in these cars. Yeah, and even when they do kind of have a little bit of a brain fart, which is inevitable, you know it's going to happen, but you know, hey, it's a Spec Miata. A little bit of contact is not necessarily the end of the world. Whereas if I'm, you know, driving something like an F1 car and I run in the back of the car in front of me doing a couple of extra miles an hour, you know, comparatively, it's like my car should be blowing up into pieces right now. It's just, but you know, when that happens, you know, there is a little bit of a, ew, that's nasty. You know, it does kind of make things feel worse. Like, for example, that in a Formula 1 car would have just taken off my wing. Same with that. But here in an MX5, who cares? No biggie. Where'd that guy come from? So focused going forward that I have spun out. Almost, but I didn't. Woo! And it's like, I think my neighbor's house is on fire, or it's raining like crazy outside. Either way, we will soldier on. But really, how highly would I rate this mod right now? The fact that I'm actually driving this with the cockpit the way it is, and that is something which, if you've watched my videos, you know I constantly harp on. It is critical. It is where you spend the most time in the car. You know, you drive the car from the cockpit, it's pretty dang important that the cockpit is right. But the fact that I've just kind of brushed that aside for this, and, you know, at least I'll put up with it begrudgingly, although I would like to see it improved. I think this mod really does deserve it because it is otherwise pretty dang good. And I would honestly throw this into my, excuse me, probably into that same category as the Houstons at Longford. You know, the really good, this is what you should try in rFactor 2. If you don't like it, you're probably not going to ever like it, because it's just one of those combinations that really puts pretty good foot forward for rFactor 2. With these long corners, you get a really good feel for the, you know, high-speed handling. Chase the rear end a little bit there. And the force feedback is what you'd expect from rFactor 2. It's pretty good at transferring, communicating, you know, what you need to do, what your inputs are doing, what the car is doing. Yeah, if you're familiar with rFactor 2, you'll definitely appreciate it, I think. I do like the variety of skins. Again, I just hope that, you know, the author of this mod will go ahead and make a couple of the cars the convertible soft top, no top, whatever you want to call them, version. Which there also should be some more skins coming for this mod. Which, you know what, you can never have too many. The only time that we'll have too many is when we have so many we get out of memory errors on that coming rFactor 2 64-bit. Which, if you're not familiar with rFactor 2, there is a 64-bit version in the pipeline. Should be coming sometime eventually. You know, the whole soon thing that every single developer out there does. No, it's not just iRacing people, it's everybody. Goodness, there's another guy behind me. Where do these people come from? Yes. Be careful, don't get too greedy in this corner. There we go. Carry the speed around the outside. There we go. Yeah. Now we are cooking with racing high-octane fuel. Oh, yeah. Jump the curb a little bit. Let's see if we can get any more. Seriously, this mod rocks. I like it. It is just so much fun. Hell, I don't think we're going to get any more positions, but we did pass a few cars there on that last lap. Lap time shouldn't be too bad. And 2:07.933, fastest lap on the last lap. Way it should be. So, try it out. Links in the description. Hope you guys enjoyed. Bye bye.